Welcome back to my channel. It's Candace with a K here, where I normally talk books, beauty, and kicks. I'm giving you my review of Honey and Spice by Bolu Babalola. Hope I'm saying that right, girl. It is one that I actually really enjoyed, and I can't wait to talk about it. So if you're interested, please keep watching. This book came across my mini book chats, and it was because it was a Reese Witherspoon's book club pick. And anyone who knows Reese knows how to pick a book, and child, I really enjoyed this one. I didn't know what it was about. I didn't know what to expect, and I just jumped right into it, and I'm so glad I did. As always, I'm going to give you just a very brief synopsis, and then we're going to really talk about it. In this book, we have Kiki, who is known to be the very cold-hearted, keep a distance in the community, but not really, girl as she attends school in London. And she is trying to work towards gaining this internship in New York, but is prompted by her professor to do something to make her talk show more marketable and increase growth. And her professor suggests that she pairs with another one of her students to, secure that internship. And so what they end up doing is having a fake relationship, and then of course it leads to love. That is the overall story, and there's a bunch of stuff in between. So let's really get into it. One of my favorite tropes ever, if not my favorite trope ever, is the fake relationship to real relationship pipeline, because it is always so sappy and so lovey and so butterflies, and I absolutely love it. So in this particular book, you are literally transported back to college. Like, my college dating scene was terrible. I didn't find my husband. I didn't even really find a man like that in college. Like, college was a wash for me. But I was actually able to live through Kiki in this instance with her relationship with Malachi. So they had already bumped into each other in the beginning of the book, and you were like, girl, y'all didn't exchange numbers. So it's just so ironic that they still end up full paired together, due in part because of this project and helping both of them. And what I loved most about it is that Kiki is me to a T. She's very distant, very cold about her business, about her work ethic, but when it comes to dating, it comes to love, we don't talk publicly about what's going on over here. And Kiki was very much like that. So in her relationship with Zach, they at the club, and Zach is being a douche. And so she's like, okay, watch this. And that is something that younger Candace would have done without a T. Like, I would have been like, okay. And she walked right over to Malachi and gave him a mouthful of kiss. And you could just feel the sexual tension ooze off the pages. And that is exactly what you want out of college-aged you, right? Be this hot, sexy seductress. So then that jump starts their relationship, where she's trying to still play it cool, but Kiki, the way Malachi is described is very on brand for what I would go after. Like, even down to the way he dressed, how he has his gold chain hanging, over his white tee, those type of things. I was like, okay, I see you. So they enter into this fake relationship, and they try and keep it very platonic for most of the book until things happen, and where they have to confront their own feelings about one another. And so what I really liked about this book is the way in which the author discusses love and being safe enough to express it. And I think it's very critical that it was used in the college age setting, because I feel like high school is too young to be able to negotiate those feelings. Being older than your college age, you're kind of expected to know what that is, but in your college years, you are still forming your ideals about relationships and relationship building. And I thought that was I hope it was intentionally done, because I think that was done very well. The discussions around love and the bravery that it takes to fall in love, because it's very brave to be vulnerable, and the constant revisiting on things being at ease. There were a lot of notes in this book that, baby, you should be taking notes, because love should be easy. And I once had this conversation with a group of friends where I told them, I'm not struggling in love. Like if it's difficult, if it's challenging, I'm not doing it. And because I know that love should be easy. Love shouldn't be another burden. And my friends were like, well, you're gonna have to. No, I'm not. I understand there's compromise, but I think people conflate those terms, and it should be easy. I should be willing to compromise. It shouldn't be a fight. It shouldn't be a tug. It shouldn't be a tug of war. It shouldn't be a tussle. It shouldn't be anything. It should be easy. And so I really love that was a constant theme that was harped on in this book, of it just being easy. And so with Malachi's project, he was creating this documentary essentially on Black couples, and just hearing their perspectives on how they ended up with their partners, that constantly came up. Let me tell you, Malachi was doing all the right things to be in a fake relationship. And that's because it was real for Malachi, as it was said in the book. Showing up in the cosplay costume, calling her Scotch, making sure, just to be there for her. And I think Kiki was fighting it, but she had to sit back and say, okay, wait a minute, this man is doing everything. And I love that. Obviously, I'm not of any real descent besides Black, so I don't know the migrant or immigrant struggles of what it's like being in school where you have to kind of appease your parents. So in Malachi's instance, where he's wanting to pursue film, but he comes from this very strict Nigerian household where his dad wants him to go to engineering or business or what have you. I can attest to that. Some of my Nigerian friends have probably felt, and not even just Nigerian, some of my friends that come from easily identified cultures, or able to identify their culture, can attest to those same feelings of like, don't you go do that major when you need to be doing the major that's gonna make you coin. And while I understand where that comes from as a parent, but as the person living it, you don't want to go through that. And so I'm glad that the author touched on those points, and really made it, very clear that you have to live your life for you. So many of us really just went to school because our parents told us that's what we need to do. And school is not for everybody broadly, but even more so, if you're going to go, you need to enjoy it and enjoy the work that you actually are putting into it. And I think another great theme highlighted in this book is friendship. So oftentimes, especially as women, we do everything for the chase of being with a partner. Especially heterosexual women, we are going to do whatever for my man. And I think the friendships that we saw in this book kind of attest to that. So Kiki revisits her high school friendship where her best friend's dude tried to make a play at her. And when she tried to tell her friend about it, her friend did the my man, only for her to later realize that the man was actually a dog anyway. So that's case in point there. But also Kiki kind of did it in a different aspect that we rarely talk about. So all of a sudden you were the person who wasn't going out, you wasn't in the streets like that. Now you get a man, you want to be in the streets, you want to be outside. But when I, as your friend, was asking you to come outside with me, you weren't trying to do it. But you my man now. And so we often think my man is only around like cheating, but it also could be very social. And I love that in this book, her best friend, Mina, I think her name is Mina, had told her, like, I've been, as your friend, asking you to come with me to this ball, and you've been playing me to the left, but now all of a sudden you got a man, you want to go. And I don't think that's fair. And I think I've been in situations where I've chosen to not go to some place because I don't want to, not because of a man, but not considering how a friend would feel in that instance who had been excited to go to something. And I'm like, nah, I'm straight. but they're like jumping for joy, but they want to experience that thing with their friend. So I get that. And I really like how that was touched on, because sometimes we as friends are more selfish in our friendships than we are in our sexual relationships. And it's necessary to see all aspects and all sides of that. Another aspect of this book that I absolutely loved, because coming from a PWI myself, seeing how they talked about the institutionalized racism that happens on college campuses is also prevalent. In my dissertation research, I talk about it, uncovering all of that. This is by far one of my favorite aspects of the book, because literally all skin folk are not kinfolk. And I think we need to start talking about that. We talk about it, but we don't talk about it enough, especially being that once you are a part of a certain class, it really, really, really sets you apart from everyone else. So in this book, Zach is of a different class. He's in with the whites. He's I don't want to call him a narc, but he is the inside man making things move that are in direct opposition of the needs of the Black community on this campus. Thinking about my time in undergrad, at the time that I was a college student, Black people made up maybe less than 3% of the entire campus. So they were fighting for the need to just be visible. And in this case, they're fighting for the needs to not only be visible, but to get the relocation or allocation of funds and things like that. So it is necessary to have that critical angle in a book that is about college. And I think the author made it a point to touch on those things, because they directly impact the experiences of Black people on these college campuses. I've never been to London. I don't really know the racial dynamics that exist. My perception of the UK right now is Love Island UK, and you can for sure see the racial disparities on that show. So I can only imagine what it is like living day to day. Now, I do want to go to London. Okay, I'm not saying I'll never go. I really do want to go. But right now, my perception of the country is very skewed. And so I liked that she did highlight, like, we're going to I don't know if she said east side or whatever is the equivalent of the hood, to go get this fire, Niger mix of food or whatever. It's like, I got to go to where I'm at, right? And I appreciate that, because that's what I had to do in undergrad. I had to go to the hood to get what I needed. Living in LA, I got to be in the hood to go where, move out. So I love that aspect too, because my Blackness is important, just as important in being around other Black people. And sometimes I could be very isolating on college campuses. I really, really liked this book. I still only gave it 4 stars, and that's only because I couldn't give it a half star. I don't think it's all the way a 5, but I would say it's 4.5. I would say it's like Dear White People, but more Black. And I think it was just more, it was just an easy story to follow. It was so well written. The sarcasm and the wit of the characters oozed off the page, and I think that is very difficult to do without it becoming very like stiff. And so I think she did really well with that. Also heard that there is a potential for a sequel, which I need to know, okay? How are Malachi and Kiki doing? Are they still together? Maybe they'll be going into their junior or sophomore year. Maybe they'll be in America, which I think would be a nice way to do the sequel. Like, what is it like coming to New York and being in a different environment? I don't know. I have so many thoughts and opinions, but I also want to hear yours. So if you have any thoughts and opinions, please share them in the comments below. Please thumbs up this video. While you're here, you can go ahead and hit subscribe. Make sure you get your merch. This is the Go Read a Book merch. You can get it in sweatshirts, t-shirts, and a mug. And then you also want to follow Candace with a K Reads, because I like to read, and I'm gonna post everything on the Bookstagram. I want to thank you all for watching this very extensive review. I know it's kind of long, but I really like this book and I hope you liked it too. So see you next time.